board.
And just so you know, the new building is proposed to be right behind the old building.
It's gonna go the other way.
Yeah,
It's gonna go the opposite way right behind the old one.
Yep.
which will give visibility on the front of the building for security purposes. All the doors will be on the front.
Right.
You know,
Sherry would like windows on the back. I'm thinking maybe 12-inch windows so if somebody breaks in, they can't get in. On the back of the building, so it lights it all up in there, so if she goes in, it won't be pitch dark in there.
I actually happen to have two, they're a little bit bigger than 12 inch. I think they're 12 by 24, brand new windows in my shed. Luckily they're in my shed, not in the house, so they didn't burn up. Well, I'll donate them to you for this, if there's anything you guys can use for it, rather than purchasing more windows.
So one thing I did wanna do, because I know a lot of times when we do things, the extra money goes back into the budget, the town budget.
Yeah.
Whatever I raise and whatever I donate to the cemetery, I want it to stay at the cemetery. I want it so that if she needs to order, she needs a new air compressor or something like that, she can have a little slush fund to buy it.
Well, normally we have to set up a capital reserve, which is voted on by the people, but Sherry, could you check with legal to see if you could set a line item to the capital reserve that's set up now, addition to, instead of setting up a new one?
So yeah, we need to have some fund that we can put all the donations in.
Right.
And have a checking account out of it so that Sherry can write the checks.
Hopefully we can just add to what's there, add another one, because if we have to set up another capital reserve, that means just the time frame we have to go through the board, which isn't a big deal, but it's not
Yes.
much.
I wanna say that up front, the money that I raised, that.
Yep, sure.
Yeah, no, thank you very much. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Done?
We're all set.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gary.
Thank you, Gary.
All right. Next on the agenda is to approve the minutes from June 3rd. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Next we have a request here from the land use officer. The Winchester Economic Development Corporation with the Stone Mountain Business Park, they're ready to get working here on this with the road and stuff. They need the 6th grade stakes and the markers for the road. And the total cost is going to be about $1,600. And they're wondering if the town is willing to pay the $1,600 because it is going to be a town road and town maintained at the end of it. So these stakes only help make sure that the road is put in properly.
That's any engineering costs.
Yeah, well, it's
Survey.
surveying cost.
The only question is, Amy,
Jack?
what can we, that money,
Do we have the $1,600 to pay for this?
I'm sorry, I wasn't looking at it.
Paying for a survey for the grade stakes on the road
For the industrial
park.
Where do you think they're taking that from?
Well, that's what we're asking.
You can take it from highway department budget. If you want to take it out of department budget.
Yep.
If you have funds in the budget, yes. Highway block grant.
Highway block grant? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's only going to benefit the town, because we're the ones that are going to be maintaining the road. And it's going to be our road when it's all in. So, and make sure it's put in right the first Delphi Electrical over at the library. The insurance company asked to have a electrical inspection done. Tim did do that inspection and said that we really need to replace the old breaker panels. There's 3 of them. They're all old, outdated, and obsolete. 3 standard panels to be installed. He's estimating at $1,000 a piece. And he said for more protection, there are combo breakers, which are $70 a piece. For 15 breakers would be about $1,050 plus the $1,000 each for the panels. So we're looking at $4,050 total. So what do we have in the buildings?
Well, I was just looking that up. Boy, I think we definitely need to have this done.
Right.
But I'd like to put it off until after July 1.
Well, we have cap reserve, town building cap reserve.
Well,
Right, the capital
yeah,
reserve.
oh, I wasn't looking at the capital reserve, I'm sorry. I was just looking at the line item. Yeah. And what, 20,000? Okay,
Right,
thank you. Yeah.
and this is something the insurance company really wanted done.
Right, yeah.
I'll make a motion to do that. One second.
Did you hear both of them? Channy seconded that.
And which way we want to be going special?
With the pole, the 15 better breakers plus the 3 panels. Yeah. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries. There's a second request on here for the Conant Library also. We'd like to move forward on getting quotes on the cosmetic work needed to repair the walls and the ceiling from the water leaks that we had before we replaced the roof.
Yes,
So I would definitely like to move forward on getting those quotes.
yes.
We got the new roof on and looks nice, and we have no more water leaks, so we gotta fix the damage that was done inside.
Carrie, will you reach out to Rick Durkee? Because we never did get a final on the question about the insurance. Remember, he was talking with his insurance company also on the building.
Oh, so you can cover any of the,
Right.
Inside there?
Yeah.
Right.
He did say that.
well, just so you know, Rick is no longer chair.
Oh,
Only Brian is.
well, Pauline, that's your first chore.
Yep. All right, first thing in the financial folder is a request to withdraw funds from the Evergreen, or move funds from the Evergreen Cemetery Expandable Fund into the operating budget of $440.
So moved.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? None. Motion carries. And that was reimbursement for some hydro seeding. Next is for the water department for 2 fire hydrants. The amount is $3,872. There's a few here for the water. Do you want me to do them all in one?
Yeah.
Okay, audit expenses of $4,000. The E. coli testing equipment was $6,129.94. Oh, that one's sewer. Yeah, so those are the water department ones.
Make a motion to approve.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries. The next one is a sewer department request for payment of the audit expenses of $7,000.
So moved.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? None. Motion carries. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4, I think. No, 3. 3 here for transfers from the Police Outside Activities Fund. First one's for $480.49. Second one is for $2,675.04. And the third one is for $5,861.52. And these are for March, April, and May.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries. Next, we have a transfer from the ambulance billing account for April and for May. April's is $18,574.54, and May's is $12,188.69.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? None. Motion carries. Next one is a withdrawal from the Church Steeple Repairs Fund from Charter Trust Company in the amount of $1,875 to be paid to Scully Architects.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries. Next is a request to transfer from the Water Department to be placed into the Water Capital Reserve Fund for $175,000.
Sewer's right there.
And the same request for the sewer for $75,000.
Make a motion to approve both.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? None. Motion carries. And last but not least in that folder, we have a deed without covenant for map 1, lot 20. Everything is here and set. We just need to approve this.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? None. Motion carries. Question?
No, I don't, but, you know, we have some new faces here tonight, and I was just thinking, we just read off a whole financial folder, and probably half the people out here don't know what we just signed.
Oh,
And just for, I'll try to do it very quickly. You probably heard the water and sewer, we were transferring money into their capital reserve. Well, at the end of the year, we add to those capital reserves because Rick has a list for both water and sewer of infrastructure improvements that need to be funded. And so we put them in the capital reserve so we have that money going forward. It's that simple. It's just helping fund that. This deed without covenants right here, this is a great thing. It's a piece of property that was sold and money's coming back into the town, you know, that was due to the town. So, I mean, what else was in there? Oh, ambulance fund. What's that?
I was just gonna ask if you want me to explain it.
Yeah, go ahead. The outside activity police fund also.
Right. Well, the two big ones for the ambulance fund, the $18,000 and the $12,000 for April and May, those were reimbursements out of the ambulance's separate account back into the operating budget, because the way we have with the new part-time ambulance service, the way it has to run is we have to pay payroll out of the operating budget, and then it's reimbursed out of the revenue fund. And that was the purpose of last year's warrant article for the 100% usage of that fund was so that the fund could help fund the ambulance department for everything. And as far as the police outside activities, Carrie, can you give a better explanation on that, or should I ask Amy?
Amy would know better, she handles that.
Well, that fund was created for, when they do the detail work, out these companies hire our police department for flagging traffic, and they pay. We get paid for the officer, we get paid for the cruiser, we get, there's a whole list of breakdown how we get paid, and that money is set into one account, and then we just transfer it into another so it can be used. It's about as simple as you can get it.
Yeah.
But it's just money that we have to account for that's coming in from an outside source that's not through revenues from the states or county or so.
Right. And just to make sure everybody's clear too, the money we discussed with the water and sewer, the transfers, those are right from the water and sewer from their user rates.
User fees.
And not,
Right.
it's not anything to do with the town's budget
No.
at all.
No.
It's the user fees from the water and sewer department. And those were pretty straightforward, two of them, one for water, one for sewer, for their cost of their audit, and then some fire hydrants that they needed to buy, and some testing for the water. And then the only other one in the financial folder was this church steeple repairs, the fund, $1,875 from that to the architects. That's just because we're in the grant process now for the grant we received, and the money that was already set aside in the fund from the taxpayers in a special warrant article is the money that was raised to be used to help keep this going. And that's part of our matching funds to that grant we received. I think that's really about it.
Yeah. Thanks.
All right, before I ask the board if they have anything else or open it to the floor, which tonight will be the first night of public comment again, I did have a statement here that I wrote up. I did ask the rest of the board members to read it before the meeting tonight, because I literally wrote it today during my lunch break, and everybody was fine with it. So, in light of recent events in the country, I feel that it is important that we, the Select Board for the Town of Winchester, share our views. We agree that racism, hate, discrimination, or any other types of profiling are not only ugly, but unwelcome here in Winchester. Fortunately for us, we live in a culturally diverse and amazing community that has not had problems with such hate or ignorance. I personally feel that part of this is due to the implementation and enforcement of the school's bullying policies. The school plays a huge role in building a strong community, and with the policy on bullying, they do a great job of handling these issues before they start. They have played a big role in having the great community and great citizens we all live amongst. We also believe in and have full confidence in our police force. They have had a policy in place on the use of force, and it is practiced and monitored closely. Recently, our police chief has reviewed and updated this policy. It was asked of us to follow what some other towns and cities have recently done, things such as creating new committees and new policies around discrimination. As much as we support those officials for doing such, currently we do not feel that it is necessary here. As I stated earlier, we live in a great town where we don't see these types of problems. I would ask that if anybody has more questions on this or knows of problems that we are unaware of, to please email the town administrator, and they will be addressed. And outside of that, I have nothing else. Does anybody else from the board have anything?
I do. Red Committee met tonight, just a couple of updates. Jason was going going to, I don't think he had a band scheduled for this coming Thursday, tomorrow. He was going to do, a video of a previous event, but he didn't have any, footage ready for broadcast this week. So there may not be anything tomorrow, going forward, I think they're ready for the next week, and it's going to be held on the front lawn of the ELM. So there's plenty of room there to social distance as well as trees, so it's nice and shady, everybody can spread out. And, the farmer's market had 7 vendors, and they said for the most part, most people wore masks and socially distanced, and he said it went very well.
Yeah, I heard a lot of good things about the
Yeah.
farmer's market
Yeah.
being open again finally.
Yeah.
No, good work. And just in case anybody was wondering, the first thing Gloria was talking about was the music in the park.
Yeah. Sorry if I wasn't clear of that.
Yeah. James, do you have something?
Yes, on those doors that I brought up last week.
Yep.
So I did reach out to Hamshaw's, E&W, and WW Building Supply. Originally, the quote from Perkins Lumber was, I lost it. Well, anyways,
$1,000.
yeah, it was, I believe, $1,056 from Perkins. Hamshaw's quoted $1,015.86. W&W was $1,015.88. The lock sets were $12 cheaper at W&W. Hamshaw's no quoted the lock sets. I did reach out to the gentleman at Perkins, Garrett, because he came down and measured the openings. So I asked him if he could match their, Hamshaw's was the lowest at $1,015.86. $1,015.86. And the reason I wanted to do that is because he came and measured them, and I feel that he actually said he'd do it for $1,000, $500 a piece for the doors, and the lock sets for $130. And my suggestion would be to go with him. I'm just afraid if we ordered them from W&W or Hamshaw's and they were not the correct size.
Right, they're gonna come back and be like, well, we
Yeah.
didn't measure them, we ordered them off what you
Yeah.
gave us.
So,
Right.
and he did, he beat their price by a small amount, $15 and change.
Yep. These are for solid steel doors with solid steel frames.
Yes. So you're talking, $1,130. That does not include installation. Garrett at Perkins recommended somebody. It's possible we could use somebody local, or even Dale and his guys may be able to.
I've installed those before, I can come out and
Yeah, I
help
can
them.
give you a hand, So that's what I have on there.
Alright.
I think that's good.
So I'm gonna make a motion to purchase those.
I'll second that. Any other discussion on that? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
No.
Motion carries 4-1. And then with the other doors,
Return, have Dale return them.
yeah, we'll have Dale bring them back
Yeah.
up to Home Depot and return them. And I do know, I talked to them the other day, the people at Home Depot, and I do know they will give us store credit for them. But between the highway and water and everybody else, we'll easily spend the $500. Anybody else from the board have anything else? No?
Oh, I do, one thing I will add.
Okay.
Couple people had reached out to me about the holes on the bridge here on Elm Street.
Oh,
And Dale, that was just inspected, what, a week and a half ago?
last Thursday, I think it was.
Which was, for the structure, not the
Right.
surface. But Dale said that he reached out to the state to see if they had any intentions of resurfacing. He hasn't heard back, and if they do not plan on doing that, he will repair those, the areas of holes.
Yeah, that's
Along with these along Main Street.
Yep.
Sure, I don't know if anybody's seen those, but
Yeah, I noticed those, but the ones on the bridge are getting really bad all of a sudden.
Yeah.
I almost got hit the other day 'cause somebody was swerving around
Yeah,
them.
that's what these people
Yeah.
said, that,
Yeah, well, Dale's passed those several times, and I don't know if he told you not, but the cross braces,
hit rated.
yeah, and they just flex.
Yeah.
Right.
And they just keep on coming back. But
Yeah.
Carrie, did we ever get a response from the owner of the post office? Remember we sent them a message here quite a while ago
Yeah,
now.
they were gonna look into hiring somebody.
Right, they didn't want our help.
Well, we need to get that fixed because many of the citizens here may know and may not. There's quite a hole right on the exit of the town hall parking lot here. And everyone thinks, well, the town should fix it. We don't own the property. The post office is privately owned, and they own that exit. So we have been trying to get it filled because it's just getting deeper and deeper and deeper. But as you can hear, our hands are tied with the owner.
Right. Yeah.
Ben, I did ask Carrie to have Dale pull the trees and stuff out of behind the fire station there, get rid of those. So
Yeah, the vines
so the
growing up.
boards,
Yep.
aware they're upgrowing. Every year I cut them off and they grow back up. I
Yeah.
think we need to pull them out with a backhoe, tear the roots out of this.
Yeah, definitely, 'cause they just keep growing back. And they grow up underneath the eaves and got a brand new roof on the building. I'd hate to see vines destroy it.
And Ben, you looked at the gazebo, right? Roof.
Yeah, I was out there
What
with
do you recommend?
Henry and Paul one day looking at it. I mean, the moss and everything that's up there brushes right off pretty easy. The hard part is getting up there. I mean, it's kind of a weird angle. I don't think you could reach most of it from a ladder. Just because the way it's 3 different roof lines or roof sections, you can get the main part of the roof by a ladder, but then once you get to the 2 smaller parts, I don't think you can reach them from a ladder.
Can we get NCL come up with the ladder truck? They usually help us out.
Yeah, I don't know if we could get it out there on
Take
the
a light
lawn.
brush, you know, and just.
How about your father's bucket
Yeah,
truck?
my father has a bucket truck.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
He was part of
Right. Yeah, just talk with, before you do anything, talk with Amy because there'll be paperwork to sign.
that. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so, and that'll make that roof last a lot longer.
Yeah.
It's just a cedar shake roof and it's covered in moss right now, so that just
Does it need to be sealed again, or?
probably after. There's no sealer on it right now though. I don't
Yeah.
think it was sealed to begin with.
Oh,
Is there something we can spray on it to kill the moss too?
I think you can brush them off.
The moss brushes right off. I stood on a step ladder with just a nylon brush and it brushed right off. So I think we can brush it off without ruining the cedar shakes and then seal it and it'll be good to go for quite a while.
Paul Morehouse expressed some interest in doing that too, so maybe he could, you know, get up there in the bucket and. What, he's younger than you are.
Did you guys put any money into the gazebo? Where do you have the gazebo from?
Yeah, I think we should be able to get out of it without having to pay any money. If anything, we might have to buy a gallon of whatever we decide to seal it with, but
Right, Thompson Water Seal.
Thompson water seal or something, yeah. Aside of that, I should be able to get out of it without costing anything.
Maybe Ken could recommend something for that, Claudia. What would be best to seal the cedar shakes?
I was gonna say myself, Thompson's Water.
Yep.
It should have been treated when it was first put up.
It probably was, but that's been there for a few years, so.
Yeah. I can ask him.
Okay.
Or Kevin?
Is that everything from the board now? All right. At this time, I'll open it to the floor. Anybody from the public have anything? Oh, Rick.
Rick Molesky. I'd like to take the opportunity just to elaborate on what the capital reserve. improvements that we have been making. Yesterday, we were able to put well number 1 online after 2 months of redevelopment and redesigning the pump. So it was success where we went from 140 gallons a minute to 300 gallons a minute under the total dynamic head of 220 feet, and we're not exceeding the service factor of the 20 horsepower motor. So we have 3 wells that will hold the town, any one well, for our demand. So I thank the board for approving that, and so the public knows that that's a 1947 well, and it redeveloped as it was previously installed in 1947. So, and we're pumping more water than we pumped out of that since I've worked for the town. So
No, good work.
it works great, and if Hubie was alive, he would tell you we will be drinking colder water in town now. Just for a little side note, that's what he always told me, that he knew well number 1 was running. And just so the public knows that hopefully within the next 30 to 60 days, we, outside the improvements that are going to be done on Richmond Road by Holic Water, the Board of Selectmen approved the water main extension on the end of Richmond Road, so Claudia would probably like to know that 2-inch water line will be going away, where we'll be running, Lawrence Excavating in the town will be running a brand new 8-inch water main up there, and making sure those 11 residents have water continuously now. So those are 2 major improvements that are happening just outside funding that we've received. So I just wanted to add that for you guys. And just to clarify, the E. coli, we upgraded a lab equipment. Our low temperature incubator was manually controlled. That'll be automatically controlled, so we don't have to keep trying to control 35 degrees plus or minus Celsius for when we incubate our E. coli samples, and a new sealer, which the sealers are, the one we have is not up to date anymore as far as IDEX is concerned. So I want to thank the board for the ability, for allowing me, the water department, to make those improvements. Thank you.
No, thank you. Anybody else from the public?
Lindsay Pickard, Richmond Road. I just had a couple of follow-up questions. I had asked about the COVID-19 funding reimbursement and alternative ways that we might be able to use it. Specifically, would it fund any kind of video equipment or audio equipment to help residents who don't want to bring themselves here during this time to be involved? That was the first follow-up question. I don't know if that has an answer yet. It would. Excellent. So I'd like the select board to consider purchasing for the town audio and video equipment to allow the residents better access to public meetings during the COVID-19, and would ask that you consider that as part of the grant.
Before we move on to the next question, now that I didn't know that it would cover that type of equipment, and I don't see any reason why we don't take advantage of that opportunity. So maybe for next week you can find out some more information and maybe get some, I don't know, Gloria, you know a little bit about this type of stuff. Maybe Gloria can talk to you and you guys can work on putting together estimated cost. Right.
$3,400 for high-end equipment. For low-end equipment, it's $1,600.
Yeah, so it's anywhere from about $1,000 to $3,000 depending upon the level of equipment.
Why would you know what equipment to
I have a list for you. I could give you a list.
Okay. Yeah, if you could email that over to Carrie so she could review it and get something together for us so we can approve it.
I had a quick follow-up about the TAN that you took out last week, or that was voted on last week. It was $1 million, correct?
Yep.
Okay. There wasn't really a lot of explanation as to why we're taking it out. Later on in the meeting, you mentioned that we still have money in our budget. So I'm just looking for a little clarification, and it's twofold. So give me a second. You also mentioned that this problem happens every year. So what steps might the town be considering to address a constant cash flow issue that's happening every year?
Well, the problem with why we end up having to do it every year is because by taking out a TAN, we basically end up starting the new fiscal year off that $1 million short. So to try to make up that $1 million and operate on our $4 million budget throughout the year, gets a little tight. And then the reason we had to take out the tan this time around, we do have enough money in our operating budget to operate the town, but it's the school payments, the last 2 school payments of just over $1 million that we're short the funds on. And in years past, the school has tried to work with the town the best they could so that we wouldn't have to take out a tan and maybe hold off on a couple payments. But unfortunately, this year the school just wasn't financially in a place where they were able to do that, so we had to take out a tan so that we knew we had the money to operate the town and still make those last 2 school payments.
So is that problem happening because of unpaid property taxes?
Partially, yes. Not $1 million worth, but partially,
I know,
yes.
and I'm sorry, that's, and if you'd like more time to think about it, that's
It's
fine.
just,
But
it's
that's
a
not an
hard
appropriate question to
cycle.
answer.
It's a hard cycle to get out of where every year it's had to happen. So like I said, when you start off the brand new fiscal year, which is in 2.5 weeks or whatever, we're already starting off $1 million negative.
Yeah,
So
I do understand.
It's a
I'm
hard
asking the
cycle to
select
get out
board
of.
to think about how they're gonna break that cycle. 'Cause
Right.
it sounds like unpaid property taxes might be the culprit, and so that's gonna be my next question coming up to these meetings, is what are you doing to address that situation? My last question was, you mentioned last week that you folks review the budget every week.
Yep.
Do you have a finance committee? Do you just sit down at the table and review it? How do you review the budget every week?
We pay our finance committee right over there, and she hands out this here.
Mm-hmm.
This is just a copy, a cover sheet of all departments, but then she also gives us in our office a breakdown of every line item.
Which she also emails to the few of us that use email.
Right.
So I ask again that the select board consider at their last meeting in the fiscal year of 1920 that they provide that document to the public to also review, the financial document, the year end, so that the public can see where you spent on the line items, what the bottom line looks like.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely.
it's 100% public information.
No, I recognize that. I actually asked this question last week and then put in a right to know letter so that I could get that information because perhaps my question wasn't quite understood or wasn't quite understood. I'd like the public to be able to see that as a whole. So maybe that document could be available at the last meeting and it could be reviewed, just like you reviewed briefly for us right here, like why you look through the finance folder, what
Right.
kind of information is there. There'd be an opportunity.
Yeah, I have no problem doing that. I would like to do it at the year end, that once we have the finalized, this is the end of the year, this is what was spent,
That'd be great.
this is how much is still left and what we're returning to offset taxes and all that.
Thank you. My last comment isn't really, it's not a question for you, it's rather a comment. I attended the Black Lives Matter rally outside the town hall today, and I was really moved by our town and the support and the positive energy and the peacefulness. To say that we don't have a problem anywhere is really inaccurate. And the only way that we will continue to have peaceful rallies in Winchester is to constantly be addressing it and supporting it. I was also very proud to see Chief Tollett out there with us, as were a number of the crowd as well. Thank you.
Yeah, myself and James Rokes also attended that. Unfortunately, we did have to leave a half an hour before it ended because we had to prepare for this meeting. And it was a good rally. Sure.
So, when we bill out the taxes, it's hard to make people pay their taxes. There's state laws that we can't do anything as a town until 3 years. So we can't tax deed, we can lien the property, but we can't tax deed. Usually the tax deed after 3 years is where we see an increase of money coming in because they don't want to lose their home. So, on the tax side, our hands are kind of tied where we can't do anything until 3 years out.
Right, as far as tax deeding and seizing the property, we can't do anything. That's why we do meet with many residents throughout the year that are not close to the 3 years behind yet, but that are falling behind. and work with them to work out some type of payment arrangement that works better for them, that still, we don't take off what they owe for taxes. They still have to pay the full amount. We just try to work out a monthly payment plan that works for them so that the town can still get.
And we do the same with water and sewer.
Right, we do the same with water and sewer rate users too, to try and help people. Amy?
And also, just to clarify on the can situation, in the past few years, the school was able to actually put off a few of the payments for a couple of weeks, so therefore we didn't have to make that payment to the school. This year, Mary contacted me and said that she couldn't do it, she needed the payments this week. Reason being that the funds out there is more of a timing issue. By the time the taxes went out, most of the mortgage companies, correct me if I'm wrong, Carrie, usually come in the third to fourth week of June. That's why in the past, I was always able to do the school payment by June 30th. That's why for the past 3 years, we've only had to get one TAN, which was in November, to cover the county tax. Because the school always helped us out at the end of the fiscal year. Unfortunately, this year they couldn't, so that's why we had to get a second TAN this year.
Yep. Thank you.
You know, Amy, you just brought up a good point. Carrie, and I'm not sure when maybe we can reach out and get some information. And a lot of people don't know this, but a few years ago, the county revised their calculations on towns on what we owe. And the town of Winchester, for some reason, got hit very hard. Our county tax now is $1 million a year. And it wasn't that many years ago, it was half that almost. And I know, but no, they changed their calculations also. Because some towns went down. Not all towns increased. Maybe we can reach out to our county delegate and ask them if they plan on revisiting that calculation anytime soon. Because I can remember it was Sherman Tedford and Ken Gardner was on the board at that time, and they were fighting hard to keep the same calculations that the county used to use, and they didn't. And we took our county tax bill almost doubled. Channy, I don't know if you were involved in that or not.
It's only went up 200,000. It used to be a little on the high side of 700 to 800,000. Now it's $1 million. So it didn't double.
No, this was probably, yeah, this is 10 years ago maybe. Was it? Yeah. Yeah.
Does anybody else from the public have any other questions?
I have a comment.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm doing this and.
Can you
Hi,
come
thanks.
up to the microphone?
Sure. Hi, everybody, my name's Natalie Quevedo. I just wanted to comment on your statement that you did make.
Yep.
Racism does exist in Winchester as well as bigotry. It was wonderful that the police chief came. Thank you, Ben. Thank you, James, for coming. But I think that it needs to be called out, rather than just saying that it blanket just does not exist, because it does exist in this town. I've seen it firsthand. I also want to point out that yes, the police chief did change his force of use policy, but it wasn't changed since 2002 until we asked for the use of force policy.
If I remember right, the last time it was changed was 2012, not
2012, which is still
right. It was 8 years
right.
ago.
But would that have been changed if the public didn't ask for it, is the question. Would you have made a statement if we didn't push you to make it?
Nobody pushed me to make a statement.
You did say that it was asked of you to make a statement.
No, it was asked of me to follow suit with what Keene did. That's what I said. Right.
That's still somebody asking.
Nobody asked me to make a statement. Nobody asked me to show up to rallies. It's no secret that I'm far from racist or hateful or anything towards anybody. I just felt that it was needed to be done. That's why I did it.
Okay. But I would hope that the board would acknowledge that racism does, and bigotry does exist in this town.
Okay.
Thank
Well,
you.
like I stated, if anybody, I haven't seen that myself. I've been here my whole life and I have not seen that. So if anybody has any questions or concerns with that, if they could please email Carrie, the town administrator, and like I said, they will be addressed. We do take it pretty seriously. Anything else from the public? I will entertain a motion to go into non-public under RSA 91A32, little b, c, and e.
Make a motion to go into non-public. Second.
James Rhodes. Herb Stevens. Jack Marsh. Gloria Lustek. Ben Kalansky, aye. We will now be in non-public, and I do not foresee us having